Tässä tutemak tätä miskat noogagano. Vago maganak minut ni ma pemut siga maut. Tätä miskat anota epiak e mamo yak me gots. Epiana mutta mago ma atatuen mina tosna igeneven e toutse. Ja gesso tamaga yak kayas atatuen agi unastanio. Mi cette kuta asotamagena steo. Oma nataigis kiinnittämään niistä no tani huitta kiittiikin asotamagena. Anski masna magana ainakin ja umstuvusu gemaven minä on niu gemaven. Puton tos naigan jak. Magama eme tuttamaan eli se kun me ei tamatta oikein onoma kanutsi taagissa. Mutta pakko sen me taagissa niistä on totta enää muja että oma toskeita mutta taagissa agisi negavia tausu negavia. Magin gittigenan ebe sepet taagego niok pitama tamatsik mina tagetsimitsik mate tegi sepet taag tate mutta ninan matoske. Jogo mautsiga rotsiago tanuts. Greetings to everybody. Greetings, family and friends, and all citizens of Pimitsikamak, Cross Lake. We are gathered here today to talk about an important subject, about Treaty 5. There were many promises that were made in Treaty 5, but they became broken promises. They were undelivered. And we are here to try and see what are the value of those promises that were made. How much are they worth? What are they worth to the government? What are they worth to our people? And we need to start moving forward in finding that out. So I have these people here with me. We are going to try and present what we are hoping to make you understand. We were told when we were elected that we speak for the people, that we do things for the people. That's why we were elected. But we were also reminded that before we take an important, a very valuable work that needs to get done, that we must notify the people first. That we must seek permission to take this task and move forward on it. I will be asking some questions from these people that are here with me. I have my assistant Edith here with me. I also have Scott. George is going to do some interpretation. We also Cynthia. We have Dylan. These are people that are knowledgeable in this area, so they have done the work. Así que toscata mayoría nasa kumeno. Eu ibitsiwa o isaben ipagosene menan tayo namuenan tututamagon. With your permission, with your blessing, we can move forward. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to be asking some questions. We're going to be talking about cow and plow. We're also going to be talking about annuities. First, I will ask my first question to Cynthia. What is cow and plow? What does it entail? And she's going to be providing some explanation and interpretation by George. Thank you.
My name is Cynthia. Basically, Canada had made some promises to the community, to Cross Lake, and they've promised some farm equipment and some cattle and some tools to farm with, whatnot. But Canada did not supply their community with the required equipment to farm with, which is an actual broken treaty. So that's where we can do the agricultural benefits and the cows and plows for Cross Lake for a broken treaty.
Yo kaisita magwa awa egoniani egi esutama ganeak kita mini tapacita na inyo ang tatatuinig kesu tamagani ak tagisteget inyo apacita na tami kitagisteget agwa guma takano ba sagate itagitege yoko new asu tamagena ako tamo sa kunagate guma akitaswin ako tan sige itagitek anusa na magagise peso tamagani ak atatuinig.
So with the cows and plows claim, we are looking for compensation from Canada with regards to the broken promises for farm equipment and seed and whatnot, which was promised in when the treaty was signed in 1875. And that's basically what our facility will do, is to work on the claims for the research, for the legal expense, and some community readiness program in order to get ready for a compensation package.
What am I to? Tamosa ko sa nangate kakatagano pa sa gatek inigo kitagipe tipaigatek kitagiti pago gamawon aniuche su tamagay na magagago si tutsagate ako mina kita tipaigate kanige te mis tamagay wag mina tatuske wag kenuchi tatsi ko menyo kay musaga negate kuma atsimuin ako mina kita suina.
It gives me great pleasure to help and work with the people and the folks in the Cross Lake community to work on the cows and plows at this stage, and hopefully we are able to get the claims into Canada at a sufficient time. With the Trudeau government being in place now, we seem to see that we need to get things going as quickly as we can. Thank you.
Ako ayu to anutsuma eskon na ipanik megotsu ka kapit sigu gemawenak egonik megots enutsitat sig egoni utipay gane ito ako wipats minanots tago igisita ni ak esko egoni unutsitat sig katate pamat sig skone kana niutse su tamagena.
One of the other things that we're going to be asking our friends and our consultants here is about annuities. What are annuities? And have there been examples of other First Nations receiving annuities as part of their compensation? So Scott, can you provide an explanation to our people what is an annuity, and has there been other First Nations that have received compensation for that, and what does it entail?
Thank you, Chief. With regards to annuities is a promise inside the treaty. The annuity was a promise by Canada to give every individual in the community a set dollar figure, which was meant to be a value that they could use in their life as through the month or through the year. So it could buy food, enough food for the last year. It could buy clothing. But as the years grew on, that $5 diminished, and you couldn't buy as much. You couldn't buy as much food. You couldn't buy the clothing. So as we grow into today's world, $5 does not mean the same amount as it did back in 1908. 1875. So at the end, Canada has not met their obligation to Cross Lake and to the community with respect to keeping them up to the annuity value of what it should be.
Sinaskosi to kagagotsi mito menu. Kigiskini tenano tatuaski Tonio na tagus na ukimawe na ebe paget natsig ni anopes. Agawa ni anopes kagi itakisut ekuspinistam kagi naskwas na nga ate guma. Ayo kagut sa paget ni anopes kita mitsutin nyo kita winata tana ako tagi apat si ato ni anopes pek pisim, isu pisim, ako na magatias kayo agad na ukita ang tabi pagit ni. Ako ay ino gani mo utagawa, guma kanto na gate, kakita kesut tawan ni ano pes, kuspia ni ma, minatansit tagita kesut ano, sa nagagana kayon, nagagitek, minamistay ginagagitek, minas aspin kuspi. Ako guma kanto na gate, tanse takesut tawa, yan no pes kami nagawiyag.
Regarding values and who has settled, there has been a big Treaty 8 push with respect to getting annuities set for all the communities inside Treaty 8. But they're still working on theirs, but they're coming to a conclusion. Treaty 5 is no different. Treaty 5 has the right to push ahead as fast as they wanted to. They can get this solved with all the communities coming together or individually working cross-lake, going on their own. So the claim is there, the value is there, the courts are on their side, the specific claims are on the chief's side. We just have to start the process and get moving.
Ayino, miskut tamawa. At tuske no ma ute ina neo kay tagita katatuin. Treaty 8 kay snigate. Winawa nung si tao kasi katski si tao gito egi wana sunay gate mina egi kana pat sa gate tanne guma kita itagite ako wistawa o kistawa ito niana numa atatuin kahit sa gate Treaty 5 kagi tagi tut sa gate ito nantaw isi pegwag mit sa gamay niyo tagi wigus sa gate o guma tanong si tanyo kako ta wana stanyo
Regarding completion of claims, currently we have Treaty 8 that is probably the most advanced. There are several groups in the Treaty 8 that are working together to complete a compensation package for all of Treaty 8. On Treaty 5 is no different. The work needs to be done, and all the prep work needs to be done to bring the same value and to return the funds that should come back to the group of Treaty 5.
Ego niga nigito ayo atatu ina nama ina neo kay tasunayate or Treaty 8 kay snigate hasake gas pinawag isitawag ego ni mo sa question na ige ina nama ako na matos kewin tawit tamagotin no tannego itagite go makantos na ikanano ak sige ma guma tos kewin mane maga intos na ige ma musa ka sa na kewin tantos na ikanano ak tannego itagite kanema kagesu tamagani ak tatatuini
Tansip mit siga mainyak Ryan Castellani na executive director for the band aga kagetiga mo na out Ketuni gani meno ketuge magani meno. I have a question for our chief of the nation. Chief, how many claims are we looking at here? Tanta to snake and kagano tamak.
That's right. Sabi sa ko siya sige mo no. Ayo. Ego no kagi sa tamagan yo age. Ute sa yo atatu no ma niana na itagitek. Ego tegi yak umisa apacita na sa tagistiganya agot se uta. Sto saktas uts bigo pitsiga na tas ko se gutia ne. Tanu itagite gane ego na kanopata na stop. Agami nani ma katepayanya yan no pespan katepayanya. Tanu itagis na sunya uts. Ego mi kanopata mak. Minang itige na mina pete mi kanopata no tanu aski kitagite kaya sutamagan dito kaya sutamagan yon aski the minute nyo. Ito minutse. O giginota mini kay na naman ito utse mini. Ako mina gitere na gan naskipat siya so man so natsita niya kita skina no kay naskipat siya niya mina ni chipeg sa mistayman ego mina ganopat siya to. Maga ano siya magaganopat ta pitamay ganopat na no ego niya sa tamagan niya kay stigan niya so utse sto sak pigupit siya Minani na office ka na pagit ni tego si sa tani ko tagi sa tego no pata ma ni soy ka ni ko tagi ani skill si mina ko tagi mina ni mayo and skipat si kana what's betanga no ba te na nego ans misoga tana nis pachigani at that twin mina take Northern Flood Agreement. So thank you for asking the question. There's 4 claims that we're looking at of the promises that were made under Treaty 5. One of the first things that we're looking at is called cow and plows. That's what people know it, but it's also called the agricultural benefits. So that's one claim. And we're also looking at the annuity claims, which is the amount of money that's given every year by the Indian Affairs. They give us $5 every year. That $5, as explained previously, was that it's worth a lot more money now because of the cost of living and because of inflation. So that has not been followed or exercised by the government. We're also looking at treaty land entitlement. And there's promises made that each person will get about 167 acres per family of 5. That has not been addressed as well. And those were broken promises that are made. And we're looking at flooding claims as well. But this is where it gets complicated, where it's hard to deal with treaty land entitlement, and it's also hard to deal with Northern Flood Agreement under this process, because we also have the Northern Flood Agreement. And we have to look at those areas in that lens, in that, as a Northern Flood Agreement being that avenue of resolving those issues. It may at some point in time be a strategy how we can leverage those areas as well as part of our claims. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at the cows and plows, and we're looking at the annuities. So thank you for asking. Ayun minamaya na mo tamay sa atatun niya na itagi tayo mo. Na tayo skin tamay sa tas agi unos na mago ma agi nuskut tamay tapit sa agi sa. Ayun ba get sa mag George no. One of the other questions we keep asking is that Treaty 5. What is Treaty 5? When was it signed? And who signed it? When did we agree to do certain things, certain promises that were made to us? I'm going to be asking George if you could please provide us with an explanation as per your understanding.
Ayu, kagano kikiskin tanano minamiche to atot sagateo. Atatu numa stamagi nas question nga te pasta nam kagi itutet sig konsesi pigante nas question agi one egu itut sagato agone te pitato ski egu tau se hispanic 1908 egimit ski aseminagi to megota ki nas question nga teo egu ne guys ni ata gi adhesion to Treaty 5. Kinanaw Mitsegamak, Daniel Maswakan, egusi tasanagato, David Monias, Simon Monias, and 70 others at Cross Lake. Egunigagi nas question kayo 1908 adhesion. Eguneni ayo egi patnit siganige. Egi muegaut se kikasana gasut se muegaut se pitte kasana se kantan stam kai this question I got there on Treaty 5. Agoma tuskewin, ekusitas kutsuma gitom tarut sagate. Takanopa at sagate ganema ke kon kagesutama ganema as kutsuge 1908. We go to pitte question out se. Agone ki kiemina waganege ekusitas te mas na gan egi giemini segani sunya wagaga gutsi mini segani askia tatuaskia ni enta anteusenistam. Umaganam kana muta mago tanuns egusitas kutsuma gitom etut sagatek taganopa sagatek ekwaniani asutamagena agotanwe tagite gianups. Okay, so for our non-Cree speaking members in our community, what I was saying was we're all very familiar with Tepastanam and his congregation, his delegation having signed treaty in 1875 in Norrie House. What is lesser known in our nation and in our community was the signing of the adhesion, which was in 1908. And the signatories for Pimicagamak for the adhesion in 1908 were Daniel Maswakan, spelled Meswakun, Ego sige se was negatene. I got David Monias. Monias spelled Moneas. I go ayaw Simon Monias and it's still and 70 others in Cross Lake. And what I was saying also in Cree was what we're doing here today and the process that the chief is speaking about is similar to the adhesion in 1908. So in 1875, treaty was signed. It included a number of people. Then many years later, other Pimicikamak people said, hey, we're not part of the list. We want to be included in the list. Hence, the adhesion was signed in 1908. That included these individuals and 70 others. So that's what we're doing again. We're having to revisit what was promised in 1875, what's included in 1908, and looking at the value of that today and wanting to seek compensation for the value of what was promised.
Okay, mga yun ay katsimitan ayo. Kaya kono makino ka sa tinutsita niya kitan tose na ikan niya ako kaya kono kakinuta mine kayak. Kaki peso tama kayak from 1875 esko mayo anuts.
Tapos sa sige mo no ma. Ayo ma. Eu sinistegi si mami teniden. Kaya kono mo tse ega kantos no yan aga sa suts. Ase osme itatta metanoski. Umastio magotek atatwa. Ogi tini tama kaya na ochentos na yan agi tini sta. Ogi agi na suni ga yan ista uspi. Togi magani yan. Iga get sige mo manista. Itiga ina uspi. Ego suni amiak. Tantuni ga agi sa tasima. Itagi tego kagi sutta magani wagi. Oni ginagatsi na ga gototsi ga sotsuni yani yok. Oni gotsi metsama ga sa. Euma giti getsi unista sebagi gistu tamagista giti nita. Ogin tonok mine itapmak itsettajag matte ogesinista. Getsi gemu anu non pivanisi getsi gemu. Oni gim skog ona. Everi ma itapmai kati atsa stagana naktasio ma getis panik tasio se megi panik mina tasi sayo ma getiag. Thank you for asking the question. It's a very important question because I myself had the same question. That same question said, for over 100 years, we had Treaty 5 and in the adhesion. And there were all these broken promises made. And a lot of people used to ask me how much is $5 worth now versus what it was worth then. So I started doing research in terms of who can I ask who can give me this answer and how can we make this thing work. So I do have some people that are consulting and working with our executive council and myself, and we started doing the work, and then we found a way how we can do this to be able to have money, but also to have money to do the research, the litigation, the to get seek that compensation. So I'm going to ask Cynthia, one of our consultants that are working with us on this stuff. Cynthia, how does it work? How can we get be resourced, and how can we to do this work that needs to happen?
How our program works, submitting a claim for a complex process. While Canada knows that they have broken their promises, the First Nation has to prove it. This can be an expensive and a lengthy task involving detailed historic research, expert reports, and legal fees. Our program fits the First Nations to find the necessary funding to cover these costs as well as their own without having to draw or remove any money from within their community. The program is based on an insurance binding policy. The insurance policy is used as collateral to obtain a line of credit. There's a funding facility that is in place in order to cover these costs, which I mentioned with regards to historic research and the legal fees and the fees for the professional researchers to do the claim, to compile the claim for Canada, to compile the claim for submission to Canada with a legal opinion and packaged up and sent into Canada. That's how our program works with regards to legal expense.
Ayu ito kaise naskosi to Cynthia kaise gotsemegot Euguma atuskewen ako giteo ako kaise gotsemito gemawen ate giskeni tagit to gemawen emasnaiget ako giskeni tag mino gemawen wegeutse tepitu taga gisia sutamaget kapits pugo tamosa kosnaigane ak ako tapagit negate getsenawin ane matsemuin ekusi puma egispanik kagi nuta pagit negate minawera gagut sa pagit negate gu asutamagaina ako taskut sa iyo ito tapanas ko kapam paniak insurance tsaka tegon ete paigate nantais panigut siya wiya ko ne utaut su panu suniaw mas nigawin na yung tautse te paigate ganima nantagais pan tayo tapanas ko yung gusto mataas ko suma takon insurance policy guys nigate egutega mosa ko ni suniaw kitagiapat sa wegata taigats ang tautse paminigay suniaw ko titegut pan wegata taigats sa apat sa tana ako egutautse eguninnan kanuk sitang tatos kawin na nito tamiskata na sunya tagiapat sit ugutsu matos kevin.
Hi. For clarification reasons, I wanted to explain this facility. This facility has not been available to First Nations in Canada in the last 10 or 5 years. Another point that I wanted to make for clarification is the contingency. This facility does not allow for contingency. Contingency happens with some legal fees and lawyers that attach a fee. Could be 15%, could be 28% of the compensation package. The compensation package could be in the millions, so for every 100 million, if there was a 15% attachment, it could add up to 15 million. Plus the fees of the lawyer. This is a facility that does not allow it. The community is allowed to use the facility to cover the expert reports, the legal expenses, and the historic research for the cows and plows, the contingencies, and many other claims that the community may have.
Ayuma ewi tamata ko geto ewi getsenats tamiskuta man gi tometo awa atuski sunya ka semitante minege utsipan motsutsuwi ta motsuttakonu metatas ki te puni ananas ki espin ete tenita wanito motsutsuwi wi tawas sunya ko tuiga hanutsma ga itaweto agotas goods Motta inegateo, tega yut niitä vasuunia, motsta inegateo, teemistä mäkevä, taatte pääkoena tsekan tautse, umatte paigeven ka vinta negate. Ako taas kutsa jutto, mitä te nousaa pagi taasun. Ja kuonema, taat nyannu saa piskit negatege, taat nyannu saa utse mitä te piskit negatege, 15% tai tsekate. Mistä inas pistä Hispania panema taut natse, teemistä mäkevä. Itema uma kavi nita watos kay Sonia. Mots tayo na gato, kusita tut sa gato, kusita isi papiskitet nita na Sonia uspi pagit nitsi apo kaskita niya oge tatipay geto gimawe.
Ugamagan enne wakta wigiskeni to gumagano chita kanu chita ayo settlement nauma enne wakmana gaiteni taiga tawagati nanta compensation ayo entos na ikanyak peutana gutse ikakagutse mini kayago atatuini.
Napoi ko sa get sige mano marayan. Iko sa bana kape siga get sige mo kinyog. Tato sa yonan pasiguna magi get tutta magi yonan get simi get simi mana. Ito tawaga sa na no ma. Ito kita tawaga na waski kinipimena no. Muna mai nego sa mga tutta mag. Nisto man tindi no tots. Mino chosemasen no semen. Eu tagaga na ipeu pigiaga sigistano, ipeu tsiak. Digesteni teno baski. Digesteni temi no manipi, minagettinim na gesteni ma. Ego cetto skoi. Ego ma ya tutta mag. Ma mettoni teno ugape. Kabatsi tago ma, yeget sigemo. Tano mo mas na maga yago ma ipe sutamaga ni aga saga sa sautse. Täällä itsekin suttaa asemistus. Täällä itsekin suttaa pikutetsegan kaapat siitä. Ikistigani ak. Täällä minä nian opisittekin suttaa. Hiukan siis seisee. Ikin uttaa miniköjää kun magas. Aga minä ei utsi miniköjää. Kun tekiäkin kuona suttaa maagani maagi. Ahora ma uma entos naigani ago ma hemas namago ago. Tagi suttaa mago ago meno. Munine tawagi agegot. Anas gitte na no. Historia sinte no ya gitte no sevo. Eginaga gitte yewane. Ogita ginaga gesot no isto sunya gimini yo ya gesot tamaga ya. Ego manto na mak. Targo ma no tawi mini yo ya anan ya no pest. Targo no tawi mini yo ya ni Istigena na apacitay na minamisto saktas ko sa isa. Thank you for asking, Rand. For those people who are not speaking, and especially our youth, it's important that you understand that I get asked this question quite a bit. You know, are you selling us out? Are you selling the land? Are you selling the water? Are you selling the people? My answer is no. I love my people. I love my land. I love my waters, my resources. Because I was born and raised in Cross Lake, in Mitsigamak. And I can only think for the best interest of our people. What do we need? What can we do to survive? To thrive and to make a better life for our people. So I looked at this right now, about 3 to 5. There are many promises made. They didn't give us enough land, as promised. They didn't give us enough money. You know, there's cost of living went higher because of inflation. As inflation increased, the money didn't. The $5 didn't increase. It's important that we find out how much is that money now. How much is it worth? How much do they owe us? You know? And how much is a cow worth now? How much is a plow? And all the other promises that were made. How much are they worth now? Back in 1800s, there was certain value to them. Today, with cost of inflation and cost of living increasing, that has to increase as well. And it's my responsibility as a chief that I have to make sure, as a chief of the nation for Pemitsigamak, to make sure our people are compensated compensated, not settled. We have to make sure we get that money to build on our lands, to build on our waters, to increase the benefits for our people. They deserve the money. They deserve the compensation. Not to sell, but to compensate. If I were to get an agreement with you to rent my house, and we have an agreement, you pay me a certain amount of money to eat from there, to drink from there, to bathe from there, to live in there, to sleep in there, and everything like that. And if you don't pay me after a certain time, I must take you to court. Or we can negotiate and say, you're gonna pay me for what you owe me. And after you pay me, then you compensated me for what you owe me. After you pay me, it doesn't mean you own my house. And it doesn't mean that you get to live rent-free. You will still continue to pay for the rent for living there if you agree to live there. That's the same concept. So thank you for asking such a very important question. We're doing this for the people, for our future generations, so that the money will be there for them as well. Thank you very much for asking it.